The U.S. Supreme Court sides with the Kalispell family in a dispute over tax credits to help fund private school scholarships, including religious schools. We have team coverage tonight from Helena and Washington. MTN's Joe St. George will tell us what this ruling means for states with similar laws. But first, here's Montana Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison with reaction from the family at the center of the case.
The decision Tuesday is a victory for three families whose children attend Stillwater Christian School in Kalispell. They benefited from a private scholarship program funded indirectly through a $150 state tax credit. But the Montana Supreme Court struck down the 2015 tax credit program, saying it violated Montana's constitutional provision that prohibits public aid to churches or any religiously affiliated organization, including schools. On Tuesday, the U.S. Supreme Court majority said that rationale violates the U.S. Constitution's Freedom of Religion Clause and reversed the Montana court. Lead plaintiff KENDRA ESPINOZA, whose two daughters attend Stillwater, said she was thrilled by the decision.
We were yipping and hollering this morning about this, so this is very exciting. What this means for us is that we get to continue our enrollment there. This ensures that we have that ability to, with scholarships, when scholarships are available, that means that we have that ability to continue at Stillwater Christian School with that education that they have thrived at and they've done so well with.
And a Montana group that's long advocated for school choice says the decision could pave the way for expanding such programs in Montana. Jeff LASZLOFFY of the Montana Family Foundation says his group will be looking at school choice options that have worked in other states and perhaps propose them here.
Now, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Other states have been at this for a long time, but Montana students can now fully participate in the broad array of school choice options because this onerous Blaine Amendment has been relegated to the trash heap of history, so to speak.
The Blaine Amendment is the name for language in many state constitutions that bar state aid to religious schools. The High Court said it cannot be applied to prohibit state aid from flowing to religious schools. Lawyers for Espinoza and the other Kalispell parents said Montana's tax credit program must now be reinstated. The case now goes back to the Montana Supreme Court, which will iron out the details on how the program proceeds. Yet Rafe Graybill, chief counsel to Governor Bullock and the state's lead attorney on the case, notes that Montana's constitution still has strong language guaranteeing a public education.
It does one significant thing, which is it says if the state is going to finance private education, it has to finance religious and non-religious private education equally. But it would be a mistake to read this ruling as saying that the state has any obligation to finance private schools in the first place.
That's up to future legislatures and governors to decide. And the state's largest public sector union, which represents public school teachers, says it's considering further legal action to challenge the tax credit program. Montana Federation of Public Employees President Amanda Curtis told MTN News that Tuesday's ruling is a threat to public school funding nationwide.
This activist court has handed down a ruling that will siphon off potentially billions of dollars from the public education system in America, making our jobs harder and harder.
Well, let's just say this issue isn't going away and may figure in this year's campaigns for governor and other offices. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Well, it's not every day that Montana has a major ruling from the United States Supreme Court here in Washington, D.C., but today is one of those days. We should be clear, though, the High Court did not say that states must fund religious education. Chief Justice John Roberts, who sided with the conservatives on this 5-4 ruling, writing, a state need not subsidize private education, but once a state decides to do so, it cannot disqualify some private schools solely because they are religious. Again, this case was really about potential changes in the separation of church and state. Montana has that constitutional ban on public aid to religious schools. 38 states have similar bans. Now, today's ruling goes well beyond the state of Montana. It will allow conservatives in other states the ability to pass new laws attempting to make it more affordable for parents to send their child to a religious school. Already legal challenges are expected in places like Vermont and in Maine. However, the more progressive of a state, the less likely this ruling will change anything. Most Democrats believe that public aid, tax credits should only go to public schools. As a reminder, around 4 million students attend religious schools around the country. Outside the United States Supreme Court in Washington, I'm Joe St. George, MTN News.
Dissenting Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg said the Montana Supreme Court ruling should have been upheld because it didn't discriminate against religious schools by invalidating the entire tax credit.